United Hour, your one-stop shop for all things Manchester United. I'm your host Imran.
And I'm Jamie.
Yeah, me and Jamie here to celebrate a fantastic win at the Emirates. Man United coming out 3-2 victors in a pretty entertaining game, another entertaining game involving United. We've had quite a few of those recently. Arsenal haven't lost at Emirates all season. They've not lost since going behind all season. Sorry, since going ahead all season first, since scoring first all season. They haven't conceded 3 goals in something like 3 seasons or something like that. So this was as big a win as I think we could have had this season, considering who the opponent was, where it was, etc. Jamie, first thoughts on that incredible victory for United.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It wasn't just the fact that, Arsenal are churning out all these stats with regards to they hadn't lost at home. If they took the lead, they hadn't lost the game after they were taking the lead. They are the best team in Europe, probably statistically, when you figure in the Champions League table and that as well. The fact they're fighting on 4 fronts. And even if you just add in the fact we hadn't won at Arsenal for I don't know how long, in terms of
since 2017, anyway. I think.
Yeah, so it was daunting yesterday. Before the game, in terms of just about every single stat you could throw at us was against us getting into the game. And I think even with the bookies, I think on Match of the Day last night, I watched the highlights back again, and I think even the commentator kind of half mentioned the fact that we were even as long as 5 to 6 to 1 to get a result yesterday, which in a one-off game anywhere in the league for Man United is pretty ridiculous. So it was very daunting getting into the game, and you just weren't sure exactly how we were going to perform. But yeah, absolutely marvellous result, marvellous performance, and can't really speak highly enough of it yesterday.
Yeah, it was incredible, really, considering also, where we were 2 weeks ago, having drawn against Leeds and Wolves, etc., to have now had 8 days where we've beaten Man City at home and Arsenal away, the 2 best teams in the league. I think it's not crazy to say that Man City and Arsenal, despite all their faults this season, they are clearly the 2 best teams in the league, and we've gone and beaten them both in 2 wins that were fairly deserved as well. I don't think you could say either win were undeserved. Today's had a bit more fortune about it, maybe, but not a whole great deal of fortune, I think, and we can get into it. It's just incredible, really, really incredible. It's hard to know where to start, so we'll just start at the beginning. Lineups come out exactly the same as the City game. What were your immediate thoughts on that? Make sense to you?
Yeah, I didn't feel like there was a whole lot I would have done differently, to be honest. Definitely not with regards to the back 5. I thought the back 5 was fair enough. The only guy that I thought maybe might have had a shout coming in purely was Mazraoui, right back rather. But I wasn't surprised to see Dalot keep his place, considering Carrick still hasn't really had that long to get to grips with the team. They played well last week, and I imagine he just wasn't really wanting to change too much in the short term. And then the midfield, it's good to see Kobe get another game next to Casemiro. The front 3 and up front, as I said, last week on the pod, I did think Sesko may start, but I wasn't really overly convinced myself that he was. He was the only other player that I thought might come in for saying Bummel. But when I saw it was the same starting 11, I did think, that's fair enough. We played well last week. As I said, Carrick's not had too long to get to grips with the team and try and start figuring out any other combinations, really. So, no issues from me. Was anybody not playing that you thought should have played?
No, I was wondering, if he'd put in Sesko for the height or, again, Mazraoui for Dalot, but you can see why he wanted to keep it the same. Everyone who played against City acquitted themselves really well. We were very solid in that game. Although, yes, it was a transitional game, we're getting them on the counter, but we were very solid, and you can see why he was sticking with that. I did think maybe Šeško would come in just for the height on set pieces, but actually, we'll get into this, but the set pieces only really in the second half where they started to worry, and it's actually when Šeško was on the pitch that they actually scored anyway, so probably the right call there. But Arsenal probably did start the better of these two teams, and you can kind of see why. They're the ones going for the title. They're at home, and I thought, despite them controlling the game and being on top for 20 minutes, we actually, we handled them quite well. We didn't exactly give up chances or anything. We were solid. We were hardworking. We weren't great on the ball. We couldn't really keep the ball, but in terms of being off the ball and just kind of dealing with that 20 minutes, I thought we did quite well.
I agree. You always knew getting into the game yesterday that was always going to be the pattern from the off. Was always going to be they're going to come flying at the traps, and because they're playing so well at home, they've got this kind of unbeaten record going on, and obviously they're chasing the league, that they were going to come at us right from the off, try and get a goal as quickly as possible. I mean, if you listen to even some of the pundits, like I think it was Patrick Vieira kind of saying that before the game about it seems to get a bit nervous at the Emirates if there isn't a goal very quickly. And one of my pals is an Arsenal fan, and he said that as well about if you don't get that goal in the first 20 minutes and it keeps going on and on towards half time, it can get a very nervy ground. And I did feel like the first 20 minutes, let's just get to grips with the game and let's just keep them at arm's length. And I actually thought we did that all right. Arsenal definitely started the better team, had more of the ball, had the one chance that Lawmans makes a good save from a free kick. I think Rice whips it in, Zubamendi gets ahead to it, and it's a good save by Lawmans to put it over the bar. But other than that, it was just a lot of possession, but we couldn't really get out. And I was a bit concerned about the fact that we weren't trying to just lump the ball anywhere. We were trying to control the ball. We were trying to move it up the pitch, but we just could not get near their half. And I kind of said as much in the chat. I said I'm a bit concerned about the fact we can't really keep the ball here when we're just trying to advance away from our box. But until their goal, I did think in terms of defending, I thought we were keeping them at arm's length pretty well. We weren't really struggling, and as I said, there was only really that one chance. It was more the offensive part. I just thought I'm not really sure how we counter this year. But then after their goal, I thought we responded brilliantly.
Well, yeah, I think Maguire said afterwards that they watched the game against Liverpool, and it's very similar there with Arsenal coming out strong in the first 20 minutes, so they kind of knew they had to ride that out. So maybe that was on the back of their mind. Let's just ride it out before we try to start playing. And actually, before their goal, I think the stat came up on Sky Sports. We'd actually had 80% possession in the last 5 minutes before their goal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we were actually starting to build. That's when we were starting to build us. So I think it was probably in the back of the players' minds of let's just get to 20 minutes before trying to start playing our football, and it's not a bad tactic, I don't think, especially when you're away at a difficult ground. But they did score first, and a pretty jammy goal from them. Really, they just tossed the ball into the box. It's not the best of clearances from Dorgu. It's put back in by Saka and Martinez, who just air kick, really. Goes to clear it, trying to concentrate on Timber at the same time, just hits the back of his heel and goes in. Pretty unlucky. I wouldn't. It's what I think everyone could do a bit better, but it's not something that I'm like, oh, this is an absolutely terrible goal to concede. It's just a bit unlucky. I thought a bit unlucky from Martinez, who apart from that had a flawless game. So I'm nowhere near going to go in too hard on him for that one. He just miskicked it.
Yeah, I agree. Even the Dorgu header, I heard Gary Neville kind of saying Dorgu's got to do a lot better there. And when I was watching the game back, I'm not so sure there's a whole lot else he can do, to be honest. He's running back into the box, and it's a really good ball, and he's at the angle at which he's kind of running back towards our line. I feel like he just jumps in the air and he just kind of heads the ball the only way he can. The only other thing he could do maybe is head it out for a corner. But
that's it. I was going to say that. He's probably under the... Actually, I don't want to give a corner away here. Probably better to keep... Yeah.
And so I thought, he does what he can. He just doesn't really get any distance on it. And then they recycle it, gather it. And even the shot by Odegaard, it's going nowhere near. It's going well wide. And I'm not going to be tough on Martinez at all there. It's just one of those. He's having a bit of a stramash with Timber. Goes to kick the ball and it hits his heel and goes in. I mean, just one of those, innit? I mean, I wasn't overly annoyed or angry at the goal. I just thought it was one of those unfortunate ones, really.
Yeah, I agreed with that. And like you said, I think in a normal game, Dorgu probably just heads out straight out for a corner, but I can see why he doesn't want to give a corner away. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a unfortunate and a bit lucky on the Arsenal point of view. So, after that, I think Arsenal just decided, you know what? We've been a bit lucky here. Let's do our best to give United a goal because they just turned to shit after that. Genuinely, like the next couple of 5-10 minutes after that, they were terrible. Kept on giving the ball away. They, Mbeumo ran through on a counter attack that was just so easy for us to actually get in behind them. He should have probably shot. Really, that was a good chance for him to shoot on his left foot. I'm surprised he didn't. And then Bruno had that chance there where Saliba did really well to make a recovery tackle. But again, that was a close call for them. And then it all paid off with us pressing. We pressed a bit. Pressed Zubimendi into a mistake, and Mbeumo finishes fantastically and 1-1. And was it what we deserved? Probably. We were in the ascendancy at that point, and we'd had a couple of openings, and just as many as Arsenal, really. And yeah, 1-1 seemed about right. It's nice to have someone like Mbeumo in any of those as well, isn't it? Knowing that he has the clinical nature in him that he's going to finish that makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's class. The composure he brings, nothing really gets too panicked or rushed. He's able to just take that second, especially a one-on-one, you know what I mean? It's not as if it was like passed to him and it was an empty goal. It was passed to him and he still has to beat the goalie, and Raya's a really good goalkeeper, so the composure to kind of go and get the ball, and then the wee feint of movement is brilliant, where he dummies the goalie kind of starts to go to his right, and by the time he's then scrambling to get back to his left, he can't stop the ball. It's a really good finish, and I think it probably was just about deserved because, as I said, almost immediately after their goal, I did feel like it was a combination, I felt, of Arsenal getting complacent, but then us just having a little bit more belief in keeping the ball and just try to spring very quickly. Bruno's ball for Mbeumo's run is excellent. I was a bit surprised Mbeumo just never took the shot on, but I mean, fair enough. He keeps the ball, turns it back, and it's a poor effort from Fernandes. And then, as you said, Saliba puts a really good challenge in on Bruno just as he's going to shoot. But you did feel there was a slight shift, that we were starting to get a foothold in the game, start getting across the halfway line and start putting pressure on, and then pretty much from the equaliser, which, yeah, great from Mbeumo, great from us just having that attitude to just try and get after them a little bit. You could see that Arsenal just then became quite uncomfortable, and as you said, it's not even like a flat out press from every single player. It was just kind of clever movement of a couple of times. Say it was Ahmad on the right hand side, he would go and close down not so much the player, but the angle. So whoever's standing in the middle of the back, 4 or 3, whatever Arsenal were playing at the time, that pass out wide isn't on. Mainu shifts maybe 5 yards further up the pitch, so it's putting pressure on both Rice and Zubimendi, so the pass into the midfield isn't quite as easy as it can be. So it was quite clever movement, not just in terms of pressing the player, but pressing the space to just try and restrict them to anything. And I'm just trying to think. I think the only other chance in the half for either team I can remember is the goal that if it came off would have been better than the 2 we actually scored, where Bruno plays this ridiculous pass by about 4 Arsenal players, and then Mbeumo tries that lob. If that goes in, close the vote, and that's goal of the season.
Oh, it'd been incredible if that went in. It was a great attempt, to be fair. The connection, you got really good connection on it. It's just obviously on his weaker foot as well, that. So, really good effort. And yeah, going at 1-1, and you're fairly encouraged. We're in the game. We're playing pretty well. It's a bit of a scrappy game as well, which probably suited us better than them, really, how scrappy it was. But I was the thing I was most impressed about with this game was how we came out in the second half, because we came out and we were right on it. And yeah, the goal we scored, obviously, Dorgu was an absolute worldie, but we had kept the ball before that goal for a decent amount of time, and we were pinging it around, and we were playing really well. And Arsenal just came out completely cold, and it's an absolutely incredible hit from Dorgu after a couple of 1-2s with Bruno. Just, after the Newcastle game, he said he wouldn't score a better goal than that this season, and he now has done. So I'm not going to say he won't score a better goal than that, because he well might, because as we all know, Patrick Dorgu is actually the regen of Gareth Bale, apparently. Is it case closed now? Is he just a winger?
Yeah, absolutely. Dorgy best, as he's now known, I think. Yeah, he's absolutely a winger. I was impressed with the attitude from the start of the second half as well, that there was no kind of sitting back. And, I mean, the way Arsenal started the first half, I just expected the same thing to happen at the start of the second half, where you think, again, let's just dig in for 15 minutes because we know what's coming, and that just never materialised at all. I was so impressed with how we got our foot in the ball. The back line pushed up more or less to the halfway line, and we just kept passing the ball around. There was no panicking, there was no desperation in trying to get the ball forward as quickly as possible. And the build-up alone to the goal is fantastic. It just shows, I think, already the change in attitude that we've had from Amarin even to Carrick, where you're encouraging people to try things, you're encouraging them to try and keep the ball and play the short-based possession game, but always at pace, always on the move. And the couple of 1-2s between Dorgu and Bruno are brilliant. I'm not sure anybody else other than Bruno probably even tries that with Dorgu, the 1-2 and then the return back into him. I'll be honest, I thought the chat around a possible handball was nonsense, because I watched the replay so many times and just thought, that's clear. It's either hit his hip or it's so inconclusive there's no way you can try and overturn that. The finish is Yuboa-esque. It's unbelievable on the way the ball's coming up and he just hits across it. The keeper's got absolutely no chance. And it always looks so much better when it goes in off the bar as well, I think. So, yeah, tremendous goal. And quite frankly, the lad should play nowhere else other than winger, because he just looks reborn.
Yeah, he can fill in for a time, but he generally just looks so much better as a winger. But to be fair, he also looks like he's playing with a lot more confidence, that maybe actually put him at left back now. He's got that confidence. Maybe he'll be a fantastic left back too. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, on that handball, I was thinking this actually, in that we have got quote unquote a bit fortunate with VAR, not in the sense that any of these decisions have been wrong, but there absolutely is a world, a shitty VAR world, where VAR thinks, oh, I'm going to rule that out for handball just because I can. And there's a VAR world where VAR gets involved in that Dalot one last week and gets him sent off, even though, as Howard Webb explained, it was the contact's not enough for it to be a red card. But you can absolutely, envisage a world where VAR gets involved for no reason because they love getting involved. So we've been a bit, fortunate is not the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Because, as I said, I was watching the replays and I just thought there's absolutely no way that's a handball. There's just no way. Like, as I said, at best, it's inconclusive. So there's no way you can overturn that. But as you said, you are still watching it going. There's still a chance they're going to end up ruling this out.
VAR don't need conclusive things to get involved. They just need to be bored, I think.
Yeah. So that was a worry, because you thought, I know this is the most stupid thing ever, but you are like, please don't rule that out for the most ridiculous decision, because that goal does not deserve to get ruled out. Absolutely no chance. There
definitely needs to be like some sort of like quality goal threshold where if it goes in, there can be no VAR review.
Yeah,
like if it meets a certain criteria of this is an amazing goal, it just shouldn't be. Like, I don't care if it's like a mile offside; it shouldn't be allowed to be reviewed because it's just an incredible goal. So that's what it is. It's like a game of headers and volleys, basically. If you score like an incredible goal, you get enough points that you out of VAR bounds, and I think we can all agree that make for a much better sport. We will take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll talk about the rest of this game. Welcome back. So yeah, we scored the second goal, and that rung in the changes for Arsenal. I think they made 4 changes at the same time before the hour mark, which was something. And you'd think, oh, this will really change the game, and it actually didn't, to be honest with you. The interesting one was obviously they took off Odegaard, Jamie, in any world, can you see us taking off Bruno before 60 minutes
No.
when we're 2-1 down? Or can you see any big team taking off their captain? I just can't see it.
Nah. Barring injury, that is the only way Bruno comes off before 60 minutes. Absolutely no way does he come off before the hour mark, whether we were winning or losing. And it's definitely a theme with Odegaard. He doesn't last the full game, and it's mystifying, isn't it? I mean, it's not so much mystifying as you think. He's not really affecting the game, or you want to try and change the way that you're playing, or whatever. But as you said, it's the fact that he's your captain. He's your captain. He's
their chief playmaker, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. So if he's the guy for you, knitting it all together, and he's the one that's going to try and get you. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with this, but the impression that we're made to be given, certainly by Martin Keown, is Martin Odegaard is Arsenal's version of Bruno, who works really hard, etc., etc. Now, if that is the case, and he is the guy that we need to be most concerned about, who's going to try and drive their team forward, how on earth can he come off after an hour when they're 2-1 down chasing a league title? It is madness. It's madness as in, I don't know if you've seen it on TNT Sports where Keown said, he was asked, would you rather have Bruno or would you rather have Odegaard? And he said, I'll pick Odegaard all the time because of his work rate. And then he mentioned something casually about Bruno's numbers, but he specifically said, I'll take Odegaard. Then they left this poll up on Instagram for 3 days or something like that to say, to like fans, who's the better player, Bruno or Odegaard? And off of, 230,000 votes or something like that, it was 88% Bruno. And I mean, like, this bias that seeps in is crazy. But when you try and understand what the point that Keown was making, that is exactly right. Well, if you're right about that, and what you're saying, how can he come off after an hour when you're chasing the game?
He's not fit to lace Bruno's boots. I find it absolutely crazy that anyone can think that Odegaard's in this. He's a perfectly fine footballer. I'm not saying he's shit or anything, but he is not fit to lace Bruno's boots. And to even put his work rate ahead of Bruno's, who literally probably runs a marathon for fun after games because he's an absolute insane lunatic. It's crazy to me. And ultimately, as I said this on our group, Martin Odegaard is the playmaker, is the chief playmaker for a team who can only score from corners, and he doesn't even take the corners. So that tells you all that is. And unfortunately, they did score from a corner. I mean, I thought we were pretty comfortable, really. We were keeping him at arm's length. Lemons didn't have too much to do. He made a save from Saka, but other than that, it was just, there was nothing going on from open play. And you knew that if they were going to score, it would be from one of their stupid corners. And it was this game when I was like, is this what we want from football? Do we want to go to do we want football to move towards everyone celebrating the fact that you've got a corner because you crossed it off someone's shin and it's gone out, bobbled out for a corner, and then everyone's cheering, yes, we got a corner. And then do you want 22 players in this 6-yard box, and then you just dump a ball in there and see what happens? I mean, it's just shit. And I feel like we're well placed to have a comment on this because we've scored quite a lot of set piece goals ourselves this season, and we've benefited from this flooding the box thing too. I think off the top of my head, the Litz goal against Spurs, for example. I just find it crap. Like, no one can move. The keeper can't do anything. So basically, all you're hoping for is the ball to bounce, knock around, and it's just going to go in the net at some point. And it's shit. I don't know what you think about it, but I think it's terrible.
No, I absolutely agree. It's shite. There's kind of two separate points for me. I agree about the overall sentiment what you're saying. I'm more just glad for the first time in I don't know how many seasons we actually look a threat from set pieces. But that's a separate point anyway. But it's utter crap. I mean, I'm a big rugby fan. I'm just not a fan of seeing rugby scrums from every single set piece where, as you said, the ball's just driven into the 6-yard box. I'm trying not to reduce what I'm saying about Arsenal here they're just a set piece team, because they're clearly not. But at the same
Well, if
time,
you look at the stats, they
you,
are.
I mean, your main that being your main threat, you're like, really? That's your main threat, as you said. Like, the only chance between Dorgu's goal and the goal is the save, as you said. Saka has a good shot, a kind of snapshot to the near post, and Lawman saves it really well. Other than that, I felt like we were controlling the game. Maybe not with possession, but, control it in the sense of, as you said, keeping them at arm's length, not allowing any real chances. But you do have to say, as much as we weren't allowing any real chances, they just didn't look like doing anything. There was nothing with regards to. You thought they were going to cut us open with some clever movement or some fast paced running. There was nothing. So it's just so crap watching set pieces come into the box. And to be honest with you, the only it's not even a well worked tactic. So see, if you said they've scored a couple of set pieces this season where instead of like flooding the goalie, they'll have, say, 3 false runners that kind of run near post and 3 or 4 that run back post. And what you're doing is actually pulling the defenders apart. So at least if the delivery comes in well, they've got a good chance of scoring because you kind of work the space in the box. These set pieces aren't even that. As you said, it's just a big scrumash, a big rugby scrum in the edge of the 6-yard box where all they do, and if you watch the goal back, there's 3 Arsenal players that kind of make a run from level with the back post and just run at the goalie. They don't even go for the ball. They just literally run flat out at the goalie. And to hear on commentary like things like, "Oh, Lamans just came for it and he's not got there. That wasn't good enough." Blah blah blah. You're like, what is any goalie meant to do if 3 or 4 players in the other team have no interest in the ball? It's literally just they want to run flat out at the goalkeeper to stop the goalkeeper getting the ball. It's ridiculous. And then, as you said, it just becomes the ball just drops down, and then it's whoever just gets a scuff on the ball. It's pathetic.
And it's not even like it's not enough contact to be fouls. It's just like little nudges or like Lemons jumps for this one, and while he's in midair, Marino kind of leans into him with his ass basically, and like that is going to put the keeper off. And it's not enough to be a foul, I guess, but is enough to put the most important person in your defensive team off being able what he's trying to do, which is get contact on the ball. And yeah, no, there's got to something. I'd like to see something done, whether it's like an exclusion zone around the keeper or nobody in the 6-yard box, something. Because I've got no problem with Arsenal with Declan Rice putting in a great ball and Gabriel heading the ball from 8 yards out after making a great run, putting it in. But that's quite a nice, pleasing aesthetic goal. You know what I mean? No problem with scoring from corners. It's just dumping it on in the 6-yard box and seeing what happens. Because that's all they did. They dumped it in the 6-yard box. It brought to Marino, who actually got quite lucky that he completely miskicked it. Because if you watch it, there's no way he should be trying to score to the left of where he is. He just literally wafts a foot at it. If he actually hits it straight, Cunha might actually block it, but he got a bit lucky with his wild swing. And yeah, that's it. And you thought, well, we put up a good effort, but 2-2's not a bad result. Well, I was thinking, we put up a good effort, 2-2's not a bad result. Let's just make sure we don't, lose this. But we had some other ideas. And, I mean, how we responded is fantastic, really. And no one's losing their heads. Everyone's keeping calm. Probably think, okay, we'll get another chance here. And we didn't even get a chance, really. It's just Cunha. After some lovely interplay, Šeško bringing it down, bringing it to Bruno, gives it to Menu, into Cunha, who runs at, I think it's Gabriel. And then that is an incredible finish. Lovely goal. Go absolutely wild. Made my young child cry from my screaming. It was just a great moment and a fantastic goal. And again, I'd say it's what we deserved, for being the team who's taking the risks. Being the team. I mean, how many long shots did Arsenal have in that game? I can't remember any. They're a small XG or whatever, but we're the ones taking the chances. We're the one taking the risk. We're the one going for the beautiful goal, not going for the shitty dump it in the 6-yard box goal. So yeah, I thought amazing. More than what we deserve from this game for the application our players put in. How did you feel when that goal went in?
Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. When it was 2-2 and you were seeing the replays of that shit goal, I was the same as you. I thought, do you know what? We've played well here. And if you'd have said to me before the game you're going to get a 2-2 out of this, I'd have been quite happy with that. And even the way the game went, I thought, yeah, all right. It's 2-2, they've come back into it, but I still don't think that's a bad result. We've played well. And see, to be honest with you, like, this isn't just like speaking after the fact because we've won. Of course I wanted to win, but I was more wanting to see a better performance again, mirroring the City game, rather than just the result yesterday. I just wanted to see good football and more improvement, which is what we got. So that's why I thought, well, if it ends 2-2 here, I'm quite happy. And then you seen, I thought the footage from Sky could not have been more cinema, if you like, where you're seeing all the Arsenal fans roaring at the top of their voice, buzzing that they're back 2-2, expecting them to push on. And then the long kick from Lomans, Sesko actually does well, where he kind of holds, I think it's Saliba off and brings the ball down. And then Bruno wins it back. Lovely flick inside to Mainu. And then I feel like that's the difference already that I'm talking about, where instead of just like trying to time waste or drive to the line or whatever, that courage is there to go and try and win the game. And I felt like you've seen that in Carrick's substitutions as well, where Dorgu goes off injured and he could have easily just flung on a defender, another midfielder like Ugarte, anything to shore up the game, but no, he decides, no, I'm putting Sesko on, which immediately, I don't know about you, but made me then buzzing thinking, no, he's going to go for this. And I did kind of think, even like as we're then starting again and just before we scored, I did think, there is still a chance here, you know, like there's loads of space. Like, let's just play it forward and see what happens. So some great football again. Mainu into Cunha, and Cunha's literally tried that since we signed him. This shot where he gets a bit of space, 25 yards out, and he just has that attempt, and a couple of them have been close. He scored one from the edge of the box against, try to think who it was it Brighton? And then, I can't, honestly, it was like pure dopamine. Honestly, like to go the way he's went, to get the ball past Gabriel, and I think what he does is he uses Gabriel as a shield so well, so that by the time he's hit the ball's almost only 5 or 6 yards out by the time Raya's actually starting his dive, because he can't see round Gabriel to see where the ball's going to go. But he would never have got there anyway. It's so well struck. It's so hard and low into the bottom corner. It's just tremendous.
And well, that's what's it. When I play football, that's my favourite type of finish, where you've got to play in front of you, try screen. Except for when I do it, it's really slow. So
yeah.
To put the power on it, the power and the curve is just fantastic. And yeah, that was it. I felt after that, you know, obviously you get the stress of the last bit, but again, they didn't do anything. We handled the corners well. They were only going to score from a corner. They got a couple, handled that well. Gyökeres came on to bundle about and foul people, and that was a bit funny.
Well, he did clear. He cleared the ball for us at one point.
He did. That was after he fouled Martinez and then cleared the ball for us. So that was good on both accounts. And then so United win 3-2. Amazing scenes at the end of the game. Great scene. You know, Carrick and the players all go over to the fans. Just absolutely fantastic. Great scenes. I saw a few things like, United got a bit fortunate with like long range goals. It's not sustainable. Blah blah blah. It's like, well, you look at this game. Arsenal scored an own goal and a shitty corner that bobbled around and basically broke kindly to Marino. So, and we scored. Like, yeah, they made a mistake for the first goal, 100%. But you know, Mbemba took it away, and we've then scored 2 absolute worldies. So, if you look at the game in that context, I don't think we were, you know. Both teams got a bit fortunate with their goals, and we just scored more fortunate goals, so therefore we deserve to win. And I think the XG on this for this is for Nick. I don't really care, but the XG for this, I think we had about 1 and they were on 1.5. But then also, if you think about it, most of the times this season we are severely underperforming our XG. So if you look at the last 2 games, I think we had about 4 against City and 1 today. So we scored 5 goals, and we scored 5 goals in these 2 games. So it all works out in the end, doesn't it? We'll take another quick break here, and when we come back, we'll talk about a couple of players in performances and Michael Carrick. Welcome back. So yeah, let's pick out a couple of players to talk about. I'll go first and talk about Harry Maguire, the man, the myth. What a guy. Absolutely love him. Brilliant at the back. I thought him, Alex said, but I thought Martinez had a really good game as well, apart from the goal, which again, I don't blame him too. But I thought having them two back together, actually, it's massive. And it's great. Yeah, Heaven, fantastic talent. Euro, fantastic talent. But there's something to be said about just having experience, big heads at the back. And that's what you get with Maguire and Martinez. And it's Maguire being back is as important in these last two games as any of the AFCON lads, I'd think.
I agree with that. Yeah. I think Maguire deserves all the credit in the world, because to come back from what he's came back from in his career is quite frankly ridiculous. To be the guy that was memed to death for
he still is. He still is at times.
Still is at times, and it's not even warranted, really. And I mean, if you took this is the one thing I will hear is like, I always hear still about how much he cost, etc., etc. But you're sitting going, if he'd have cost 50 million and turned in the career he has at United, nobody would be saying a thing. Literally nobody would be saying a thing. It's because of the 80 million tag that's been attached to him that I don't even agree with the way that, like, the over the top criticism and all the rest of it. So the way he's returned, I just give him all the credit, because the turnaround is nothing short of remarkable. And he's came back in and he's been absolutely solid in the last two games. He was needed a hell of a lot yesterday with regards to just keeping a calm head, somebody that's tremendous in the air, that's going to lead the defence really well and just give you a bit more confidence, whether you're in midfield or whether you're a fullback, that there's a centre half next to you who's dependable and who is really good at holding his own, at the type of physical battles that you're going to have against the likes of Arsenal away from home, all the rest of it. No, he deserves a lot of credit. And so does Martinez. I mean, I love Martinez anyway. I'm probably biased when it comes to him just because I really like him. And his reaction to his own goal was tremendous. And where I think Martinez and Maguire complement each other really well is, while Maguire is decent at passing, there's no issues at all with his passing or anything like that, he's the solid one that you can depend on. And Martinez, I think I seen a stat flying about yesterday, there wasn't a player with more line break passing than Martinez yesterday. And I think he was second in the Man City game as well. And that's what you get from Martinez as well, as a good defensive player. You just get so much threat from deep from Martinez, because he's constantly trying to break those lines. But then, where the two centre-halves deserve credit yesterday, there was a mad run Martinez went on up the left flank at one point where he just thinks, I'm just going to run with this. And he actually manages to beat two or three men, and okay, it goes out for a goal kick by the time he gets up to the far line, but it's that confidence to just think, no, I'm just going to keep the ball. And then Maguire did the same thing in the second half at one point yesterday, where, again, gets the ball and just thinks, there isn't really an option, I'm just going to carry the ball. And then by the time he gets, 25 yards out, shifts it onto whoever it was, Mainu, I think, in the midfield, and then just retreats to his position. That confidence in the two of them is excellent, to not have to panic and think, I just need to get rid of the ball. And the other one I'll give credit to, just while we're on the defensive unit, is definitely Lawman's. Yeah, the two goals he conceded, as I said, I don't hold him at fault for either of them. Couple of good saves, but the amount of corners he actually got to and just punches well clear of the box yesterday is great. Immediately takes the pressure off. And there was one at the end where Cunha kind of gets pulled back and we win the foul, but that shows there was a bit just before it as the cross comes in, and he does this time barge his way through, punches the ball clear, and he goes but it's not just a punch anywhere. You can see he punches it to Cunha, who then controls it and then wins the foul and we clear up the pitch. But he was doing that all game, and I'll be honest, you don't win that game yesterday, I don't think. If it's Onana in goal, or if it's Bayern Dier in goal, I don't think you win that game yesterday.
If Onana was in goal, I don't think not only do we not win this game, we somehow lose a different game in a different universe as well. If Onana was in net, he is easily the best upgrade we've had this season because we've actually put an actual goalkeeper in net, and that's all I want to talk about Onana because this is a positive podcast, and I don't want to get angry. And while we're on the defence, fair to say Dalot had actually a good game as well. Comes up a lot of stick with Dalot on this pod, in the stands, everywhere, but he had a pretty good game yesterday. Very solid, excellent defensive back post header as well up against Gabriel, which wasn't easy right at the end, so that was a highlight. And he was really quick to get out to his man. Didn't let many crosses come in from his side, so a solid run from Dalot, and Luke Shaw played well as well. So, but I want to move into midfield to talk about, well, Casemiro. It's come out this week that Casemiro will be leaving at the end of the season. I shed a small tear over this because I love the man. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And he was, again, imperious in this game. These last two games, he's just been on another level. He was the best midfielder on the pitch today again. It's just we are going to struggle to find someone who can do everything that he does. And then on top of that, has all the nous, the experience, like just the know-how that he has when he goes through the game. Like in replacing him feels like an impossible task at the moment. And yeah, I feel like we have to go get Elliot Anderson. That's something close to it. But again, it doesn't replicate everything that Casemiro brings to this team. He's going to be a massive miss.
I don't think you can replace him. I know we kind of spoke about it in our WhatsApp chat as well when the news came out saying, how do you replace him? Because you physically can't. He gets everything flung at him, like the fact that he earns so much money, the fact that the stupid remarks by Carragher were made a few years ago when it looked like he was finished, when actually, no, he was being asked to play a one-man midfield in the most ridiculous system apart from Emirates, and no wonder he looked knackered. Fucking anybody would look knackered trying to play that system. And then I just feel like it's not just what he gives you as a central midfield player. He helps so much defensively, whether that's from set pieces, whether that's from structure, whether that's trying to keep the game in control. He's a massive threat from set pieces in our favour. And that's not just, from actually getting on the end of crosses and heading them in. You can see now that when set pieces are coming into the opposition's box, he's one of the guys they're most concerned about. So he's drawn players away from other players just because he's that much of a threat. So much experience, and that it's more so that than anything else that really worries me is if he's going, we literally have no experience in midfield. We've got some Menu, who is amazing, yeah, granted, but that experience goes, that wealth of knowledge goes, and I just don't see how you replace it. I mean, Elliot Anderson's a really good player, and I would be buzzing to have him, absolutely, but I don't see how you replace it unless you're saying getting Anderson, but then you're looking for somebody that is, say, in their 30s, as in 30, 31.
Or even late 20s.
Or late 20s, but somebody with that experience, because I think that's invaluable, that. And if you're going from somebody like that and then we have none of it, I think that's a real worry for me going forward. And I'm quite disappointed to see him go, purely because I would have liked to have seen him stay on reduced terms, just because I think he's a massive asset as well. And he's proven in these last two games where he's came up against Rodri and he's come up against Declan Rice. As you said, he's been the best midfielder on the park by a distance. And yeah, I think it's a massive shame to see him go.
Yeah, and we'll probably talk more about Casemiro as he's towards the end of the season when it's time comes around and assessing his time here. But it just makes me think he could have been an amazing player for 4 years and really propelled us to the next level if we didn't have two absolutely idiotic managers who decided that midfields aren't really a thing. So yeah, that's kind of sad. And alongside him, Manu completed another 90 minutes. Did again covered more ground on the pitch than anyone else. It is actually mental that he had not started a game for the first half of the season in the Premier League. It's crazy that we decided, you know what, this young lad, this talented young footballer who is really excellent, we just won't play him. But if he was at another club, we'd probably want to buy him. But we just won't play him. It's actually now we're out of our relationship with Ruben Amorim. We can look. It's like any abusive relationship. I don't know why I'm liking it to that. It's probably inappropriate, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's crazy. It's crazy that we just didn't play him. I just can't believe it now that I'm thinking about it.
It's baffling. It's absolutely baffling. When I don't really know what to say, because how many times did we sit on pods, or you and Nick sit on pods, saying, what is Mainu doing in training that's stopping him getting a game? It is bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. And if Amorim deserved to be sacked for one thing, it probably is that, because the fact he's came in and in 2 games, again, against City and against Arsenal, looked composed, kept the ball. I seen a stat flying about as well saying out of the last 2 games that have been played, he ran the most distance yesterday of any player, and he ran the second most distance of any player last week. So that the whole nonsense of, well, he doesn't work hard enough, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, that's nonsense, because he's just done it against technically the 2 best teams in the league and been comfortable doing it. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you do look back and you just think, I can't even try and understand what he was doing by not giving him a chance, by not playing him. And I don't really know what else to say, to be honest, because you were just watching the game yesterday, just thinking that at times you were thinking, how did he not play? How could he physically not get a game? Yet we had the manager telling us, oh yeah, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. There was loads of chat about him leaving this January to go and get experience somewhere else.
If Amorim was still in charge in the summer, we'd be selling him. And that's ridiculous to think about.
I mean, you must be buzzing from an England point of view, because he's suddenly now, I can't see, I know it's 2 games, but I can't see how he's not included to a serious degree for England in the World Cup.
I think he'll be going now. I think he'll start, with the way things are going, he'll be on that plane, and I don't see how he wouldn't be. Just crazy time of our lives, which we can, thankfully, is behind us. The last thing I'll say on this game is that Bruno Fernandes needs to go take lessons from Kenny McLean, I think, because he should be scoring from the halfway line. It's disappointing that he didn't. That is a chance for Bruno Fernandes. He
needs to speak to King Kenny.
He does.
How did you do that?
Honestly, but another fantastic game from Bruno, and a great win. So that takes us nicely into the Carrick chat. I mean, I think we all thought it would get better. I don't think anyone really thought it would be this good after 2 games, but it has been. You know, it's nothing crazy. We're playing a good system. We're putting players in the best positions. Everyone's working hard. The application's there, and we're seeing that actually this is a good group of players who, when they're given decent instructions, can go out and win football games. And yeah, it's great. And I guess now you could argue this is the test. The real test is what we do against Fulham, because Amorim, for all his faults, has gotten results away against big teams before. He has gone and beaten Liverpool at Anfield. He has gone and beaten City at the Etihad. Although both of those times, I will say, those teams were on a bit of a downward trend at that time. He's not got a result like beating Arsenal at the Emirates or anything like that, but I digress. He's still got big results, but it was the home games or the games against small teams where we'd fuck it up. And Fulham at home is a perfect example of that. I'm pretty sure we lost this game last year. Oh, we definitely lost.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did.
So we definitely lost to win the FA Cup last year. So we did lose a game to Fulham last year. So yeah. Oh no. I can't remember.
Oh no! I'm thinking. Sorry, just on a separate point. I do actually think they might be a team we did beat twice last season in the league. I think.
Maybe. I can't remember. I tried to black out last season. So yeah, Fulham come in, and How are you feel? Are you feeling? I know you're coming to this game. We're having there's a bit of a United Hour pod meetup. I'm going to be there. Nick's going to be there. James is going to be there, and Ed is going to be there. So we're all going to try and meet up before the game. You must be pretty excited. I mean, you booked this game before Carrick came in, and you booked this game during the Amorim era, which I think that was just you'd have been excited anyway. But now there must be a bigger sense of excitement. Definitely going to Old Trafford next weekend.
Oh, without a doubt. I booked it. Well, I had a word with a couple of people before. It might have even just been the start of December, where I was saying for my brother's 30th, I was looking to get him tickets for a game, and the game that was kind of arranged was the Fulham game, and it was in the middle of the Amorim kind of death throes, if you like, and you were worried just for coming down for the game. I more mean worried as in you were just coming down thinking, this is going to be really crap. This is just not going to be an enjoyable game. It's going to be a real slog of an affair. Whereas now, I was talking to my brother through the game yesterday when we were just sitting watching it, and he said he's absolutely buzzing to come down, and I think the atmosphere will be amazing next week. I mean, off the back of, it's not just the results, because as you said, Amorim got results against big teams, but the one thing you'll say is, we played City off the park last week, and it was 2-0, it should have been 3 or 4, but we played them off the park and deserved to win. Yesterday, massive win away at Arsenal, and deserved to win. Whereas the big results Amorim got, even probably is the game against Liverpool that he won away at Anfield this year. The results were impressive, but the performances were definitely a bit more of a smash and grab, rather than anything methodical and controlled about winning these games away. So Carrick's already done that for me, where he's shown these players can do it. But as you said, I hate the term, but the real test, if you like, is the fact that we're coming up against teams now that are below us in the table, and we do seem to have got a little bit of a swagger back in the last 2 games. As you said, the fact that they were 2-0 up against City in the last 10 minutes, they could have easily just coasted it, whereas they were constantly going for the third goal. Yesterday, they go 2-2 with 5 minutes to go, and you're expecting the kitchen sink to come at us, but instead we go back on the front foot and we go up 3-2 and have the attitude and the courage to win the game. So that needs to be in every single game, and if that includes teams that are coming against us with a low block and looking to break on us, fine. I'm actually less worried about us having loads of the ball, purely because that's what we've done in the last 2 games. As I said, that it's not been a smash and grab. In the last 2 games, there's a lot of controlled possession, there's a lot of good chances that have been created by building up through the middle or quickly out wide. Players looking hungry for it, the press is there. So, okay, it might fall down next week, you never know. But I'm so excited to come down next week, because I do think we're in a really good vein. The players all look happier, they all look a hell of a lot more motivated, and yeah, I'm expecting a good day out next Sunday.
I tell you why I'm feeling more confident than I would be, if this was Amorim, we just got a big result. It's because, yes, Amorim got these results against big teams, but that's because we set out, we probably prepared for those games all week. He sets out a plan, and ultimately, players are up for it, as you will, but you're more up for a big game. Whether you should be or not is irrelevant. Like, you will be more, and then they're there to execute the plan, and it comes off, and it's great. The problem, therefore, falls down when you're at home against teams you should beat, and we've still got this plan. We're still in this formation. We're still in this plan that isn't natural to our players, and therefore they're not playing the natural game. They're not expressing themselves in the normal way that they should be. When it should just be go out and beat. Go out and beat these lot. But really, everyone's still trying to stay in the formation, stay in the system, make it work, and it's not conducive to getting results at Old Trafford, I don't think. So I'll be more interested to see how Carrick sets us up to go out and win a game. And like you said, it might fall flat. We might, end up not winning, and we're back at square one. But for now, I am way more hopeful than I ever have been that we can actually go to Old Trafford and beat a team that we should beat.
We'll put it this way, right? Just because I was thinking about this, right? If Carrick was in charge of the game against Everton, where they go down to 10 men after whatever it was, 12 minutes or whatever, and then are 1-0 up at half time, do you honestly see us playing the way we played in the second half? There's no chance. Absolutely no chance. The difference in attitude and the difference in the approach to games. Again, we might not win, fine. But even that is far more encouraging and far more exciting than what we've had for, 14 months, 15 months?
Yeah, no, there's no way. I don't think there's anyone who would set up like that, to be honest with you, when you're against a 10-man Everton. So there's absolutely no way. Do you see any changes for this game? I mean, Cunha's made a strong ploy to be in the starting 11, but then I don't know who you'd take out for him. And also, I've been so impressed by Cunha's application and work rate and everything about him when he's come off the bench. I've been pretty critical of him beforehand about some of his attitude and some of his decisions. Coming off the bench in these last 2 games, he's been like 10 out of 10 for pretty much everything. So he probably is in line for a start, but who do you take out?
I don't know. I thought one thing that was interesting as well yesterday, I mean, I'm probably reading far too much into it, but at the end of the game yesterday, when all the players were going over to the away fans and taking the applause and that, I noticed at one point Carrick made a particular beeline for Seshko and kind of went up to him and you could see, instead of just like a quick like high five, it was actually like he was talking to him for a good 10-15 seconds before kind of like pushing him towards the fans. And again, I'm probably reading far too much into it, but I'm half wondering, is that him saying to Seshko, he's got a chance in the next game now of coming in? Because again, he didn't really have much time to try and affect the game yesterday, but I thought even the fact that he goes up and he kind of wins the ball and very early in the build up to the third goal, he did cause Arsenal just a different problem when he came on, and I'm now half wondering, is he maybe going to change because of that, because we are coming up against a team that we're expecting to have a lot of the ball against, and he's maybe going to have to change things. I think Cunha absolutely is in with a shout. He's been excellent the last 2 games. Should have had an assist for the Mason Mount goal against Man City. That should have stood. And that would have been him a goal and an assist. And
well, he did get the assist for Dorgu's goal as well, remember?
Oh, yeah, so he did. Beg your pardon. Well, he should have 2 assists and a goal, really, in his last 2 sub appearances, which would be excellent. But I think he's pushing to start. I'm not too sure, but I don't know if Dorgu's fine.
I think he was just cramped, they said, so probably fine.
Yeah.
If anyone,
because I was more worried, is that a hammy?
I could see him actually giving Ahmad a bit of a rest, because Ahmad's played a lot of football.
Yeah, he has.
Lately, and with AFCON and stuff, and he's come straight back into it and straight go. I could see him giving one of Ahmad or Mbeumo a bit of a rest, maybe. So that's the only thing. But it's a great problem to have, isn't it? You know what I mean? All these players fit and fine.
We've not had it for so long.
No,
we've not had that for so long. Where you think whoever doesn't start, they're a real threat coming off the bench. So yeah, it is. It's for the first time in a long time, it's a good problem to have.
And I think last word on Carrick. I mean, no one's saying he should get the job right away or anything. I don't think we're ever saying that. But what I would say is, there's been a lot of comments of like, oh, you know, even Keita just say, oh, you definitely can't give him the job full time. It's like, well, if he proves from now to the end of the season that he can, you know, win big games, win games differently, show a good style of football, show that we can be defensively solid, show that he can change things in games, do all these things that you want a good manager to do, and then we finish well in the league, why not? Is what I would say. Like, yeah, you obviously, you know, it could be a top class man, but top class, we've done the top class manager thing before. He's come in and it's been, you know, it hasn't worked out. We've done everything before. The only thing that kind of worked out was, you know, yeah, well, actually, to be fair, Jose did work out a bit, but then he went to shit. Ole, you know, he cemented us as a top team, top 4 team, and people saying, oh, you don't want another Ole. Well, in the short term, we do want another Ole because we want to be a backup in the top. We want to be a solid top 4 team and then build on that. So, yeah, I'm not saying give him the job now. I'm not saying, you know, sign the papers or whatever Rio said, but I think it'd be silly to rule him out as he definitely can't get the job.
I think it's silly to rule him out, absolutely. The one thing Keane did say yesterday, and I did kind of agree with, was him and Vieira had different opinions, and Vieira said he definitely thinks Carrick does deserve a chance. He said especially if United go on and finish top four and show that they can change it up, they can play the same way against teams at the top of the league, and they can also beat teams that they should be beating, quite frankly. And then Keane kind of countered that with, I understand that, but are we saying if United are going to be getting back to winning league titles, can you see him winning the league? That's a separate argument, but I do get where he's coming from, and I'm like, that's fair enough, like having that opinion, but it's just a bit premature. And this is, I seen somebody tweeting yesterday who I follow, who's a match going fan, saying, it's a bit annoying that we've got rid of Amarin, we've brought Carrick in, we're solidified a bit, we've played well in 2 games, and it's almost like we're not allowed to just enjoy things as they are, because now so much of the chat's becoming, well, should he get the job at the end of the season? And you're like, well, we don't know, because we don't know what's going to happen for the next 15 games. So let's just see what happens.
Exactly.
And as you said, if we've got 15 games and to the end of the season he wins, I don't know, 12, and then draws 2 and loses 1, then I do think you have to have there's a decision to be made there where you're like, right, well, we gave him that mantra at the start, that we told him what to do, and he's already done it and more. Then there definitely is a decision to be made. And last thing I'll say on it as well, I think he's been, or whoever's made this decision has been absolutely vindicated in that. I know a couple of guys that support Borough, and they said the one thing that Carrick did struggle with a little bit in Middlesbrough was the defensive shape and the defensive solidity. The fact he's went and got Steve Holland, who already looks to have made a massive difference to the shape of us, both in and out of possession, in terms of how we set up defensively. If that is such a solid partnership, which it looks like, and again, we just see how things go and they get better, yeah, I think there probably is a decision to be made there. But I mean, let's just enjoy it, for God's sake. We've had 15 months of naff.
Yeah, that's
football.
exactly the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying he gets the job or anything. It's just that let's not rule anything out. Let's absolutely not rule anything out. Let's enjoy what's going on. Let's not talk about, he can never get the job or he must get the job. It's just, let's see what happens. Let's see, and then there's a decision to be made at the end of the season when we see where we are. It could all turn to shit. This is United we're talking about. It could all go absolutely terribly, and we could be absolutely crap from now till the end of the season. We can just look back at these 2 games thinking, what a time to be alive these 2 games were. But we'll see. So yeah, it's just the talk of he definitely can't get it or he has to get it. I just think let's just see. Let's just see what happens. That'll do us for today's pod. We'll be back after the Fulham game. I don't know who's going to be on that pod. I think everyone will be on a bit, unless we lose, in which case no one will want to be on it. But because we're all there, who knows? Maybe we'll do something live from before the game. Who knows? We'll see. Anything for you to add, Jamie?
No, that's it for me. Just enjoying the ride and Carrick's at the wheel.
Exactly. Right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Trip.